money for nothing, just for free.
What's going on, guys? I think it's going to be pretty mandatory to have AI as part of your portfolio in the coming years. I think there's going to be massive bubbles in the AI sector. It's going to be one of the greatest technologies for the next decade, at least, maybe the coming decades. I think it's going to be bigger than the dot-com bubble. I think it's going to have multiple cycles like crypto and Pokemon starting to have, and other TCGs. It's going to be with us for a long time. And there's a lot of different ways to play it. First off, I hate stocks. You got to fill out so much paperwork and stuff. I mean, you got to with crypto too, but when I started, you didn't have to do much with crypto for paperwork. But, there's supposed companies report X amount of stocks, but then companies have gone out of business and gone to court and found out, there was more stocks issued than there is on the books. You can't really trust that. It's just, there's a lot of Wall Street corruption. It's just a lot of reasons I don't like stocks. And I have owned stocks in the past, but, it's not a big thing for me. But like I said, it's probably going to be mandatory as part of your portfolio. You definitely want to have some exposure to AI. I think it's going to be incredible gains. Not quite crypto gains, but pretty good. Definitely better than Pokemon gains. So let's look at the 5 sectors that are probably most likely to be invested in AI. Number 1, or number 5, we'll say. Excuse me, guys. Uranium. I'm not big on commodities during these Super Bowl cycles. I've just seen too many, 4, 5, 100, 1,000 X's in cryptos, 10,000 X's, that, commodities are limited to like 2, 3, 4 X gains over like decades and stuff. So, or a decade. I'd say 4X for a decade is like incredible for a commodity, which, a lot of TCGs and cryptos can do 4X in very limited time. So I do think uranium is going to be strong. More like a safe play if you want to save in uranium, I guess. But, if you're playing with stocks, I'm looking for like maximum upside potential and safety at the same time. And I think it gives you more safety than upside potential. So I don't really like uranium. I don't think I'd play it. Number 4. Number 4, I'm going to categorize as just, chip companies, processor companies, basically like the tech companies, the tech, the drivers of the new technology that comes out, like NVIDIA, AMD, and lots of smaller companies that are upstarting now. Well, I'd probably only really feel safe in something like NVIDIA or AMD, but these market caps are way up there. NVIDIA, I think, is like a number 3. Gold is like number 1. I think maybe Alphabet's number 2. I don't remember. But it's just too big. There's just not enough potential to gain. It's just too big of a market cap in a lot of these blue chip companies that I actually trust. It would just, I don't know. I'm not of the mindset where I'm going to study into a company, make sure they're not corrupt. And, I've worked for companies that I can't, that I found out things later on, like, oh my God, that was going on. I don't know, to be really trustful in a company that you're not even a part of, it's kind of tough for me to get involved in something like that. Plus, the difficulty to make chips for AI, I can't even begin to explain, guys. This is insane technology. In fact, here's a clip of a video that I saw just to show you how crazy it is.
Let's get into it. First, you need a very specific type of light that's higher energy than all the light we see because it's good at printing on silicon. But this light is a diva and causes a ton of problems. Just to make it, you have to snipe molten droplets of tin with a laser, hitting them dead center to make the light. And the droplets are smaller than the width of a human hair. And you have to do this 50 to 100,000 times per second with no room for error. And this is the easiest part. Now that you have the light, you have to put it on the right spot on the chip to draw all the patterns. Normally, you could use a lens if you ever burned paper with a magnifying glass. That's exactly what you're doing with the light from the sun. But this light is a diva and no material exists that can act as a lens for it. Since you can't use a magnifying glass, you have to use a bunch of mirrors. But these mirrors have to be smoother than the width of an atom. If the mirror was the size of the entire planet, the tallest mountain would be the height of a credit card in thickness. And there's only one company in the world that can make these mirrors. But since you lose a little bit of light from the mirror each time, by the time it hits the silicon, you've lost over 99% of it. So the droplet sniping thing has to be 50 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And it gets better. Third, while the mirror sniping stuff is going on, you have to move the chip so it prints onto the right spot at up to a meter per second while keeping nanometer level accuracy, which doesn't sound crazy. But if the chip was the size of a plane, it would be like moving the plane with precision less than 50 times smaller than the width of the smallest human cell, which is a blood cell apparently, all while moving the plane at 300 miles per hour. To emphasize this, because my brain could not understand how ridiculous this is like landing a plane at 2 times normal speed and having the exact spot where the wheels touch down be precise to within 50 times smaller than a human blood cell. And this has to be synchronized, but it gets even better. Remember how the light is a diva? Yeah, it gets destroyed by dust. So you have to remove all the air, which puts it under pressure. Like the science demo where you put yourself in a vacuum sealed bag so you can't move. So this is under pressure equal to the weight of 170 cars, on top of everything else that's going on.
Well, that Carl Zeiss Meditech group that makes those crazy thin, super smooth mirrors looks like that could be a play too. Of course, it is a multi-billion-dollar corporation already, so then again, I mean, it could still go to 30 billion, and that'd be a 10x right there. But anyway, on to number three. Yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to go cloud storage. It's a lot less complicated than making chips and processors for AI, and it's going to be mandatory. There's going to be a lot of memory needed. Another downside, though, is the biggest cloud storage companies are going to be places like Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, blue chippers. So could see limited gains with that too. But if there's some, I haven't looked, and maybe there already is, some outside cloud storage companies coming in, some startups and stuff, seeing that's a much easier technology to deal with, there could be some plays there too, especially some AI-specific cloud storage companies. So, on to number 2. Number 2 is a commodity, which after hearing my uranium rant, you'll be like, why would you be talking about a commodity if you said number 5 was a commodity and you didn't like commodities for something like this? Well, this is a commodity you can hold in your hand. And you can get it for free or heavily discounted. And it has a dual play too. It's going to be needed a lot in green energy, like a lot for electric cars, a lot for windmills. It's copper. Copper, you're going to need like 3/4 of a ton for each windmill. Like, copper that's coming out of the ground is coming out lower and lower quality, and it's getting harder and harder to find. Like I said, I think it's a commodity, so I think even with the best potential, maybe it could do a 10x in 10 years. You know, even then, still. But out of all the metals, I like copper the most. I think it has the most potential. But on to the discounted ways of getting copper. First off, you guys know I know some things about coins, and all pennies from 1982 and earlier are 95% copper. So I don't spend those. Like, they're literally worth 3 cents in copper in melt value. So I just have a bucket that I, have aside every time I get a 1982 or earlier penny, I throw it in there. But if you have 1959 or earlier, those are the wheat pennies, the ones with the wheat back. Those you want to keep separate because those are worth up to like 10 cents each in numismatic value. So that's a double kicker. You got some coin shops already pay you 4 cents. You can just bring in a whole bunch of wheat pennies. They'll pay you 4 cents a wheat penny. So that's one way to get heavily discounted, through your change. Get some copper. Just put it aside. Another thing, nickels. I mean, they are 75% nickel and 25% copper. But nickel's still a great play, too, for a base metal. And nickels are like 7 or 8 cents in melt value. Yeah, I don't know how much. They're talking about getting rid of the penny. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep the nickel around, too. I mean, we're not talking about minting costs, shipping, or anything. We're just talking about the metal. The metal is 7 or 8 cents to make a nickel. So I also saved my nickels. But I'm honestly thinking about, I'm going to keep the pennies, but I'm thinking about cashing in the nickels maybe for another TCG investment or something along those lines. The gain potential is just that much greater. Quick side note, though, if you have 2024 nickels, do not spend those. Do not keep those. Those are so rare. If you have a $2 roll of 2024 nickels sealed, I haven't checked the prices recently, but I know they got up to like $150. That's great. It's 2024. Not that old at all, guys. Like almost 2 years old. And just crazy gains. Crazier gains than a lot of cryptos had in 2024. And the other way, I got like 200-300 pounds of copper that I never even paid for. I used to scrap a lot. Maybe one day I'll make a video on all my scrapping tips and everything, but basically, if you got like a pickup truck or if you have a good area with a scrapyard that pays you well, houses are not too wide apart like they are where I live now, and people tend to throw out a little heavier stuff, metals and stuff, and there's less scrappers around. You can do pretty well. And where I used to live in the suburbs of Philadelphia when I scrapped a bit, and I used a minivan because the insurance is cheaper, the gas is cheaper, and you can roughly fill, if you break it down, take out the back seats and everything, you can roughly, and the cost of the vehicle is cheaper also. So you got 3 ways of minivans cheaper than a pickup truck. And if you take the seats out and everything, you can get more, sometimes more room to put stuff in. And that was one of my best ways of doing it. But yeah, I never cashed in copper. I always just, cashed in everything else, made my money that way, and kept the copper. I put that separately, and I just saved it all. Except for wires too. That's another thing. Even if you got a sedan or whatever, you can start saving copper for free. Buy yourself a pair of wire clippers. Every time you're going through a neighborhood or whatever on trash day, especially if you see a vacuum out, cut that cord off. They pay up to $1 a pound for electrical cords. So, yeah, like I said, probably another scrapping video for another time. But those are a couple of ways you get free copper or discounted copper. And on to number 1. Number 1 is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy had been shut down for like the past 4 or 5 decades. It's just been a crusade to shut it down. Well, now with AI, with the power it's going to need, and people just realizing, yeah, it's a clean energy, and you know what? It's not that dangerous. I mean, we had that nuclear disaster in Japan, like 10, 15 years ago? Still fine there. Nothing bad happened. Chernobyl, in my conspiracy theorist mind, that's something else. But anyway, that's the only real major thing we can think of. 3 Mile Island, there's not that many repercussions from that. It's just kind of all overblown, and a lot, after all this technology and years of it, it's at least safer, especially with having that recent Japan disaster. And with it just being shut down for the past 40, 50 years, it's just now that we need it and it's coming back online, there's a lot of new companies. So you're raw from the ground up. And we're talking about, technology that's been around for a long time, nowhere near as complicated as AI technology, chips or processors, and probably not as complicated as cloud storage. I don't know. I don't know anything about cloud storage and nuclear energy on how to, maintain it or make it or whatever, but just based on the fact that we've had the one technology for a lot longer than the other technology, I would assume that it's a little bit easier. But anyway, guys, that's what I got to say about AI. If you have any questions or anything you think I could expand more on, just let me know in the comment section. All right, guys, have a good one.